So from a Dentsu Aegis network perspective, I'd just like to talk a little bit about convergence, a little bit about globalisation and how that's impacting our business. And obviously we're having to look at collaboration internally across all of our businesses to deliver on convergence. But we're also having to look at globalisation and how quickly we need to move. So it's been very, very interesting for us to have different people come into our business. And currently Dominic Malan, who's just joined us from Diageo, where he represented the Johnny Walker brand. So I just wanted to find out a little bit from Dom about what his first impressions were on entering a communications business as opposed to being in a marketing environment. Dom, what can you tell us about your first impressions?
Yeah, thanks, Dawn. So first of all, I entered the business and I found the operating model fairly complex, really with little understanding of how and why the business had geared itself towards this elusive concept of globalization and convergence. As a client, we spend most of our times in a multitude of different meetings, things from HR to pricing to distribution to a little bit of brand communications to leadership to strategy, where we're going to take our business in the next 3 to 5 years. So entering a communications business like Dentsu Aegis Network, it really opened my eyes to the level of thought and the level of innovation that's going into sort of gearing clients up to come along on this journey of optimizing, convergence. Certainly from my side, I had really no understanding of the impact that, the digital environment is having on the way consumers are engaging. And I found it fascinating to see how specifically our business, Dentsu Aegis Network, through a business like Isobar, through iProspect and through convergence planning along with Cara or Visium, really look to optimize the best and most impactful channel plans for clients. Now, obviously, I'm constantly learning throughout this process, but it is incredible to see how businesses are taking data, and I think everybody talks about big data, but really looking at data and how data informs these communication strategies and how it allows businesses like ourselves to position our clients' brands at the forefront of the digital age and at the forefront of conversations that are taking place out there in the consumer world.
So how would you suggest clients structure themselves to take advantage of convergence?
I think Dawn, a key thing is education, and I think clients need to set some time aside to really start educating their marketeers around the notion of globalization and convergence and really start, taking this seriously. Of course, pricing and distribution and how we're growing our business and growing our people is imperative. But the reality is, without communicating your unique selling proposition to your consumers, you're never going to be able to lead the marketplace within your category or within your product range. So I think it's important that marketeers take this notion of globalization, convergence, and a deeper understanding of how the digital world is penetrating consumers and consumers' languaging. So I just think it's about creating time, creating space, and certainly from our sides as industry leaders, creating interventions, workshops, forums to take our clients on these journeys. But it comes with a but, and it really comes with the willingness for clients to accept that the world is changing. And the way that we grew in our businesses and built brands last year or even last month is not the way that we're going to win in the future.
So it's really, really interesting to see how quickly and how fluid marketing departments are going to have to be. I mean, we're going to be creating content real time. We're going to be exposing that to consumers real time and gaining insight real time. How is a traditional marketing department going to manage this change?
To be honest, Dawn, I do see the marketing departments are going to have to gear up for change, and they're going to have to redefine the roles of the marketeers within their businesses. I can't see, specialists, for example, in route to markets, the sales process, distribution, being able to understand and interpret, the way the digital landscape's changing. So I see the roles of marketeers changing into specialist functions. So brand communications and brand development people out kind of on the ground along with customer marketing. So I see the roles becoming more specific. And with that, obviously being able to activate and deliver sharper, more concise communication plans. So as the sales department has started to specialize into customer marketing, looking specifically after shopper marketing, so I start seeing the marketing departments having to follow the agencies. And if you look at how the agencies are, setting themselves up, you're getting into, an interesting space of, who owns the idea? Is it media? Is it creative? And the way that we certainly see the future of this, and certainly listening to the global opinion leaders on this, is that ideation is going to happen with a collective, group of functional experts, whether you're a digital expert, a creative expert, a marketing expert, and a channel planning expert. It's going to be a hybrid model of a number of experts in one room overcoming a client challenge. And I really see that being the future of communications, and how marketeers look to grow their businesses and grow their brands in a changing climate. They're going to have to change the way things are being done at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about the opportunities around technology and what we can actually do with tech, I mean, tech may very well revolutionize a consumer product. We, as a business like Isobar, from a Now Lab perspective, may actually develop a piece of tech that can revolutionize Adidas, as they have in the past. So if you start looking at what agencies can deliver in terms of product innovation, and then how important media is, because it just links every single piece of communication in a very transparent and very real way that actually delivers a very evident return on investment. Marketers are going to have to get their heads around what an agency should and can deliver. And do you think that they're open for that? Do you think there's a recognition yet, or do you think there's still a massive amount of education?
Yeah, I think there's a huge knowledge gap in terms of how communication agencies have evolved, certainly over the last 5 years. I think a lot of the new marketeers are not aware of the capability that sits inside the agencies, and I guess the cross-functional capability that resides in businesses like ours. So I do think there's a knowledge gap, and I do think it's up to us to lead the charge on that one and educate our marketeers and business owners. So not only the marketeers in the businesses, but the managing directors and the global and the regional presidents as to what we as businesses do in the face of challenging macroeconomic conditions, where innovation is going to deliver the next big growth curve for all these FMCG and multinational businesses.
Naturally, most clients are talking about the bought, owned and earned ecosystem. I mean, Dom, do you really think that clients fully understand that, and what that means in terms of how they actually generate a brief for their media agency? Because if media is going to be so much more important to them, how are they going to balance that, and do they really have the skills and the tools to do it?
Yeah, so Dawn, I think the comprehension of bought is there, and I mean that's the traditional world that we all know. I think a lot of the times clients forget about owned and earned, and specifically in the space of earned and the power of the digital space, specifically social media. I think again it talks to the earlier point on obviously the multinational clients. There'll be global teams educating them consistently and putting pressure on all the teams to get up to speed. I still think, having said that, there's a huge gap in terms of the understanding of owned and earned, and almost not really understanding the power of their own platforms and how best to leverage them. I think, to my earlier point around convergence planning and our ability to educate our clients in terms of the entire ecosystem and how everything plays together to deliver one consistent outcome is important. So we'll continue that conversation. I do think a huge amount of time needs to be spent on educating clients in terms of writing the right briefs. If you consider the amount of spend going against media versus against a creative execution, it's 20-fold the amount of money we're spending on media. So I do believe that clients need to understand the impact that when they're writing a specific media brief and putting that into the system, they need to have done their homework, really understood their own platforms, really understand where and the outcomes that they're looking to derive from the brief that they're putting into the system. So I think creating the environment for co-creation from a brief point of view will allow sort of a cross-pollination of ideas and help clients start getting a better understanding of how our businesses are set up and structured to overcome their challenges from a communication point of view.
Great. Thanks, Dom. It's been fantastic talking to you and really getting some insight into how clients view us, and certainly the opportunities that are inside an agency that can actually help drive a client's business forward. So welcome to Dentsu Aegis Network.
Thank you very much.